So, is it too late to get DM Ultra? Well, the short answer to that is no. So why am I making this video? Well, simply put, I'm stuck in a country where the matchmaking for Cold War is terrible at best, and with Vanguard on the horizon, it's not going to change anytime soon. So, how did I get it? Well, stick around.
Boom, bam, bop.
Welcome to the channel. I'm Office Otto, and I hope this will get you where you need to be. So, starting off with some general tips. The first tip I would definitely recommend is leveling up your guns. It takes quite a while, and it makes up a big majority of the time spent going for DM Ultra. Make use of double XP tokens, double XP weekends. Go play game modes that you're comfortable with. If you like playing a specific game mode or you do well in it, great, do that. My suggestion would be to go play the face-off playlist. There's a lot of players on a very small map, so you can get a lot of kills, which equates to a lot of XP. Fun. Try to have some. Take breaks. You're gonna get frustrated, you'll get tilted, you'll get upset, you'll get demotivated. Don't give up though, but take breaks when you need them. Play a different game mode. Stop worrying about the grind for a moment and do something else. Go play a different game. Get up from whatever you're playing it on. Forget, and I can't stress this enough, please forget about your KD. It's not the end of the world. If you want to get DM Ultra, KD should not be remotely anywhere in your thoughts. And with this, skill-based matchmaking can be your friend. Sounds terrible, but embrace the suck. The worse you do, the easier lobbies you'll get, which could lead into easier camo grinding. Respect your own time. Be smart about it. If you see the opportunity to do multiple camos at the same time, do it. Simple example, just getting a kill, that only counts for one camo. Getting a headshot kill counts for two. If you get that headshot kill at a long range, that's 3 camos down. Other weapon categories work as you only need to get a certain amount of weapons per category done to get Diamond to eventually get DM Ultra. With all the added DLC weapons, you have way more options than you had at launch. So, pick guns that you like. Don't like the Milano? Don't do the Milano. Some tips on playlists. If you're from somewhere, such as myself, that has terrible matchmaking, you tend to want to stay away from some of the playlists such as 12v12, or some specific game modes like hardcore anything except Nuketown. Reason being, there's nobody searching for it. You might end up in a queue, maybe find 1 or 2 people and just sit there staring at the screen for ages and never find a match. And in the case of hardcore modes, you don't want to play that on a ping. It's punishing enough without the delay. So if you can't go for those maps, which maps do you go for? Or which game modes? Well, Face Off is a fantastic spot to do it. Normally the queue times are pretty reasonable, if not fast, and the maps are small, and the player density is quite high. 6v6 on 3v3 maps, what's not to like? Other options are Nuketown. Just because everybody's queuing for Nuketown, you should always get a match there. Sometimes the game mode and the map you're going to go for is weapon dependent. If you're running a melee weapon or a sniper rifle, please stay out of the hardcore playlists. They one-shot kill anyway, and you don't need to be one-shot killed by a pistol from across the map. It's not worth it. So, some thoughts on loadouts. Run whatever you like. Go onto YouTube and find the best loadout from one of those people that post the loadouts with the faces and the bars and the what you know the ones I'm talking about. Go look for those, find one that you like, and use it. I will suggest though that you maybe just have a look at Exclusive Ace's channel as well, because a lot of times these YouTubers suggest using the last barrel, which is the task force barrel most of the time depending on the weapon, and in Cold War that's not necessarily the best barrel for the job. A lot of times it doesn't change the shots to kill, which doesn't change how fast you kill someone, but it does introduce a whole lot more recoil, which makes certain aspects of the camo grind way more difficult than it needs to be. So maybe just go check out his stuff, or otherwise just grab a loadout off of YouTube, or make your own. Because you're grinding out camos for your specific weapon, I would suggest using the Gunfighter wildcard. It allows you to use 8 attachments instead of 5, which in a lot of cases is actually quite nice. As for perks, that's totally up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you enjoy using. I will make suggestions here and there where I feel certain perks are more beneficial to get certain things done, but that will be covered later in this guide. So, hopping on into the game itself, let's get through these camos. So, starting off, the first camo we've got to look at is the spray camo, which is eliminations. Pretty straightforward. Shoot stuff, get progress. Not much to say on that one. Next up, we've got the headshot camos. It should come with time. If you find yourself by the end of the grind for a specific weapon not finished with this by default, I would suggest taking your time, lining up your shots and focusing on getting headshots. If the iron sights on the particular weapon aren't really that great, I would suggest going on to your attachments, going to optics, maybe using the mill-stop reflex. Another one that's pretty great is the, where is it? There it is, the Microflex LED. Both of those are pretty decent, give you a nice clear sight picture, and they help a lot with lining up your headshots. When it comes to shotguns, if you need to go for headshots, just aim a bit above the head. The pellet spread will tend to kill the person with a headshot if aiming at the top of the head or a bit above. If you aim just for their face in the middle, you might end up getting a normal kill, as the spread might hit them in the shoulders or in the chest, securing a regular kill, which would then not count as a headshot. So aim a little higher and you should be fine. Next up, we've got the 5 kills without dying, otherwise known as bloodthirsties. If you get 5 kills without dying, you will get a medal for it. That's kind of a nice way to know if you've gotten any progress towards this. Once you get up to about 3 kills, play a bit slower, play a bit more methodical, maybe camp a little bit, and just secure your last 2 kills to get your progress towards this one. Another suggestion with your loadout would be to run stim shots. They help a lot. If you're in a dire situation, you just came out of a gunfight, just stab yourself in the arm and you're ready for the next fight. So, with long shots, you need to get, well, long shots. Depending on the weapon, this distance can vary. But the standard way of doing this is to put on a 3x scope, so I would suggest the axial arms, and then go into hardcore. Watch out for weapons that do less damage per bullet, such as the OTS or the MG82. They take multiple bullets to kill even in hardcore game modes, which when going for long shots could be a very big pain in the butt, especially considering most sidearms can kill at very far ranges with only 1 bullet. Alright, and I'll show you some of the long shot spots on everybody's favorite map, Nuketown. So next we have Flora, which is the detected stun blinded. All of these conditions either via your score streak, equipment, or field upgrades. There's a few ways to do this. Spy plane, counter spy plane, and harp from a score streak perspective are great options. They help you a lot in this regard. It only counts if the person is actually pinged on the radar when you kill them, so as the radar pings out, there's a bit of time where they aren't visible until the next time it pings. If you kill them in that window, it will not count. They need to be visible on the radar for this to count. The field mic is fantastic in a lot of situations, especially on a lot of different maps. ICBM and Face Off, if you put it at the bottom of the map, it basically covers the whole map. A lot of the other Face Off maps are also small enough that basically anywhere you place this, it will pick up most of the enemy team. Perks that are worth running to get this would be Engineer, so that you can see enemy score streaks and equipment through walls. And with that, Spycraft, which allows you to hack enemy field upgrades, which gives you extra jammers and extra field mics. I would not suggest using flashes or stuns to get this done. Almost everybody is running flak jacket, so a lot of times they won't be stunned, they won't be flashed, and it won't count if you kill them. Alright, killing enemies behind cover. This one unfortunately is not something you can force. This is very situational. So what I can suggest is that you look out for specific maps. Nuketown, you can get a few of these done if you kill the people that are always camping in the windows on either side of both of the buildings. Normally that would count as behind cover. Also, if they are crouching behind the boxes on the trains in the middle of the map, that also counts normally. Then when it comes to Face Off, there's quite a few maps that really work well for this. KGB with all the railings and book stands and tables and everything, that works out quite well as game show. Alright, so next up we have Psychedelic with double kills. Now, double kills can be done in hardcore game modes or in core game modes, whichever you feel more comfortable with. Doesn't really matter where you do it, just kill more than one person in quick succession. For this, player density is a factor. Don't play game modes with less players, go for game modes with higher density such as Face Off. So hopping along, we have certain weapons that instead of having behind cover kills, they have point blanks. Now for a point blank you basically need to barrel stuff your target before you kill them. For this I would suggest mainly hip firing because it doesn't narrow your field of view and it gives you a better chance of actually hitting the target, which you should be quite close to, and it should be difficult to miss them actually. So a perk that you really need to use when you want to go for point blank kills would be Ninja. Ninja allows you to move quietly, which really helps when you're trying to barrel stuff someone, because if they hear you coming they're gonna shoot you, but if they don't hear you coming you can probably get away with it. Another tip on the equipment side for getting point blanks would be to go into your tacticals and use a smoke grenade. A lot of the time when you use a smoke grenade it'll cut off the line of sight, allowing you to close the gap to get closer to your targets to get those point blank kills. Otherwise you can just sit in the smoke, because a lot of times the opposition will push through the smoke, and if they run close to you, you just stick the gun in their face and pull the trigger and you're on your way. So over here we've got kills while holding your breath, which is quite straightforward. If you're about to pull the trigger, make sure you're holding down the key that allows your in-game avatar to hold their breath and steady their aim. That's all there is to it. Now the other unique one for sniper rifles is the one shot one kill medal. This should come pretty naturally. It only takes 50 of them to finish out the category, and it's a sniper rifle. Most of the time you should get a one-shot kill. Depending on the sniper rifle and the loadout, it would be anything from the chest and up to just headshots for the weakest of rifles. But in most cases this should not be a problem. Alright, so getting into launchers, we've got Spray, which is eliminations. Not much to say there, you just need to kill people with launchers, either RPG or the Sigma. You need to do it with both. Hardcore can be your friend in this regard. Depends on the lobby. If a lot of people are running Flak Jacket, it's not necessarily the best way to do it. Although in hardcore game modes, you can melee someone with one shot with a launcher and it counts towards these eliminations. Otherwise, if hardcore is not working for you, go into core. There is a higher chance of people not running Flak Jacket, which would allow you to actually get these kills. So, destroying equipment, score streaks or vehicles. This should be done by the time you've finished out the other weapon categories, which we'll get to now. Raven took pity on us and only made it 2 kills without dying instead of 5, as it is with all the other weapons. It should not be too difficult, this should kind of come naturally. If you find yourself struggling, remember to use stim shots, remember to play core playlists, and play safe. Ground-based score streaks or vehicles. Now this will take up a decent chunk of your time. Not a lot of people are running ground-based score streaks. But fear not, there is an easier way to go about this. My suggestion would be to go play the Fireteam playlists. It's not going to be match made in your region, most probably, but playing this with a ping is not a problem. Look for the game modes Dirty Bomb and Hardpoint. For your loadout you want to include your launcher and then as well as the engineer perk. This is extremely important. With the engineer perk you can see any and all score streaks and vehicles on the map. So just hovering in the air waiting for someone to get into a vehicle, dive straight at them, pull a chute, cut your chute and shoot the vehicle. It takes a bit of trial and error, especially with the RPG that doesn't lock on, but eventually you'll start to get the hang of this and it gets easier. Next we've got one that is extremely easy with the Sigma and excessively terrible with the RPG, and that is the aerial score streaks. Now for aerial score streaks you just need to shoot down anything that can be called in by a score streak. I wouldn't necessarily suggest the counter spy planes, they take 2 shots to down. You mainly want to look for the regular spy planes, especially with the Sigma, you can shoot them down with 1 shot. Another score streak that is going to be your bread and butter but it's not as popular is the care package, especially if you're running an RPG. Shoot down care package choppers, they stand still for a little bit of time. When it comes to shooting down spy planes with the RPG, definitely go for it. I did. It takes a bit of practice, but you can get it done. Just remember to aim a little bit in front of the nose of the spy plane, and you have to hope that that RNG is in your favor, as the RPG does not fly straight. Bonus tip when it comes to shooting down aerial score streaks. Start on this one early. When you start your camo grind and you're busy with your primaries, always run one of the launches as a secondary. If you hear a spy plane or a care package, stop what you're doing, focus on that, try to shoot that down first. It's a lot easier to do this passively than focusing on it directly. If this is the last camo that you need, there is a way to kind of focus this down. You go into the fire team playlist, you hang in the air, you look for the aerial score streaks that you can see with your engineer perk, and you kind of dive towards them and just shoot them out of the air. Destroying 3 score streaks. Not too bad with the Sigma, you should be able to knock this out in most of your matches. Just shoot down any and everything that they send up in the air and you should be fine. When it comes to the RPG, this can be way more annoying. I would suggest going into one of the fire team modes that I mentioned earlier, with engineer, looking for things while hanging and then full sending anything you find. You can get multiple of these done in a single match. If you do 6, it counts for 2. If you do 9, it counts for 3. So you can get them done quite quickly, depending on whether or not people are calling in score streaks or using vehicles, especially in the fire team modes, but you should be fine. Last but not least, we've got the double kills for the launches. Now this should be the bane of your existence, as I know it was for me. Issues we are going to have here is flak jacket. Flak jacket is the worst thing to deal with when trying to go for this. Can try and do the hardcore game modes, get a lucky kill, maybe punch someone in the throat with the barrel of the launcher. If you get that done fast enough, that counts as a double kill. Only suggestions I can give you is stick it out. It's gonna suck, but you will get there eventually. It does take time to get this one done. Try hardcore. If it's not working for you, go into core game modes. If you get a direct hit or a very close hit and they don't have flak jacket on, it should kill, and then just try to secure another one as quickly as possible. Some tips for when you have to use a melee weapon. Melee weapons aren't created equally. There is a difference between them when it comes to attack speeds, lunge ranges, and so on. I did my camo grind on the machete. Use whichever one you feel comfortable with. I know a lot of people suggest the E tool if you have it unlocked. It has the fastest swing speed out of all the melee weapons. Looking at the camos, we've got kills. Pretty simple, just stick to the core game modes, stick to the player dense game modes such as Face Off, and you should do fine. You can even try other maps and game modes such as Hijacked. If you can flank the enemy team and get behind them, you can get some easy kills. Next up, we've got the backstabber medal. Pretty straightforward. If you stab a guy, you stab him in the back, it counts. You'll get a medal for it. This should happen automatically as you're progressing through your camos. Finishing moves. There's a few tips I can give on this one. Go and look for a finishing move that changes your elevation when you're busy executing it. My suggestion would be the one from last season, Twisted Reverse. In this one specifically, you do a whole flippy dippy thing and you fall to the ground and break the opponent's neck. In this process, it actually moves your hitbox to the ground. If people are shooting normal height, they will miss you and you will get this done without getting killed. Another tip is to use smoke grenades. They are perfect for this. If you find the opportunity to execute someone and you don't know if someone else can see you, chuck down a smoke grenade. It'll obscure the kill animation and you might get away with it. Flanking. There is nothing better to do than to flank the enemy team, especially when you're going for executions. Get behind them, grab the stragglers, and pick them off. Injured kills. A lot of these should get done as you progress through your camos for your melee weapon, especially if you're playing in the core modes. People will shoot at you while you're running at them trying to stab them in the face. What you can do if you still need to focus this is damage yourself with something like a Molotov. You just need to get into essentially that red pulsing state where you're just about to die, and then you can find someone before you regenerate your health to stab. Sliding kills are pretty straightforward. You just need to sprint, slide, and then stab someone on the way through. This shouldn't give you too much trouble. Now for disoriented by your smoke, flash, or stun kills, I would suggest using smoke grenades. You should already be using them to close the gap or to get your finishers off, so these just go hand in hand. Use smokes, don't use stuns and flashes because they can be countered, which then negates this camo. And lastly, get 2 or more rapid kills. Double kills are pretty easy to do with melee weapons. As long as the enemies are close to each other, you should be able to get off multi-kills quite easily. When it comes to the special weapons, you can pretty much pick whichever one you enjoy using the most. I did the ballistic knife. The nail gun is a bit of a rough one to do, but doable. The shadow hunter is a lot of fun to do as well. I would just suggest staying away from the M79. It's a terrible special weapon to try and do the camos for. Just don't try. Long shots with flak jacket just makes this a very difficult time. Give that one a skip. Alright, that's it from me. Hope this helps. Hope you get your dark matter grind done soon. If it did help, please hit that like button. And if you have any questions or suggestions on what you want to see in the future, please pop them down below and I'll get on it. Good luck, have fun.
Enemies